So you've said before in a different audio that I was listening to that you had a therapist friend who used your scripting process to write out a story about her son's business, and when she made herself believe that for a week, you said?
It was easy for her to believe it because, first of all, she believes us, and she understands the law of attraction, and she had already was good at visualizing. So when she turned her attention toward a daydream of success for her son, she influenced him. We appreciate you bringing this conversation back to us in this format, because the leverage of unresisted thought, the power of it is almost unspeakable. If you want to influence someone to their own well-being, then get into that place and imagine them thriving. And they might not be ready for it, but you are.
Because I heard it, like when I heard it, I was like, wait, there's no assertion though. And does that mean that because their vortexes align, or is that how she could, or he's in her vortex?
So step back just a little bit from your question, because you're balled up in it and we can see why. But instead, step into a clear place. So envision your inner being who's aware of everything that you are about and loving you anyway, who knows your potential and never sees any struggle, who only sees the positive aspects of your experience. So imagine your inner being, and imagine your inner being who has complete access to everything you've wished for, focusing only upon what you've wished for, not focusing on anything that you feel you have failed at. And now feel the power of your inner being, all hooked up with what you want to call source, calling you to that. Well, that's all this mother did for her son. She just focused in with the power that creates worlds and got that calling going. He had the option to come or not come, but her influence was mighty because she was hooked into her inner being and his inner being and all the goodness of all that is. That's some powerful positive expectation. Hardly anybody lets themselves go there. Most mothers are wanting well-being for the son and wishing that he'd work harder, or wanting well-being and wishing he would get up earlier, or wishing that he'd chosen another vocation. In other words, most people never find their power because they split their own energy. That's what we meant earlier when we said, until you for a minute find your power, you don't know what it is. Until you find your alignment with source, you don't know what power of influence you have. You could be meeting someone that you meet on a pretty regular basis and have not been with them for a while, so that the things that annoy you about them is not very active within you, and you could have this really general daydream of how much fun you're going to have, and you would have so much fun with that person as soon as today because of your power of non-resisted thought. Or you could dread being with them and remember what it was last time and try to stay off this topic and that topic for fear that it'll go south like it did last time, and then it will. You cannot create in anyone else's reality, but you can create with your inner being, in which case you have the power to influence them positively, or you can create without your inner being, in which case you have hardly any power at all, and you can just muck around in the trenches with all of the other physical humans who are standing and pointing blame at each other all day, every day.
Certainly.
I'm one of those fortunate people that has passions, and I know what they are. And I've been driven by those passions for most of my life.
Called by them.
Pardon me?
Called by them.
Yes, 100%.
Big difference.
Yeah.
I'm called by them because they're over there. That's the vortex calling you. The vortex is already gathered all of its cooperative components, and you're a cooperative component that it's gathering. And when you allow yourself to go, that's what you're describing. Really good.
I'm getting to that age where I know that I haven't lived it to the full potential.
Well, let's say that differently. There's been enough momentum calling me that now the momentum is really calling, and when I pull against it, it feels strong to me. It's not about time or age. It's about the momentum.
Yes.
Yeah.
True. I work on music. It's a hobby, and I can't feel any more connected to the universe than when I'm in that creation zone.
So it serves you in many other ways, doesn't it?
It's amazing. Like it's the most divine feeling I could ever feel.
Yeah.
So why am I working in insurance?
Because like our friend earlier, now hear this. This is really an important thing to hear. The music is unquestionably your path of least resistance to your greatest joy. But the insurance, for some screwy reason, is your path of least resistance to abundance right now. And there's nothing wrong with following the path of least resistance. Just don't condemn one. Even if you could, you would not do music all day, every day. Have you noticed? We know you have, but we want to get this out here where you can all feel it, and especially where you can acknowledge it. Some momentum happens, and you could say forces gather, and things line up, and thoughts turn to things, and inspiration comes. And you can't be on that peak of receiving that inspiration at every moment of every day. And sometimes the other things you're doing, like insurance or like living life, all of the other things that you do, are the catalyst for the momentum that comes that you like so much in the music. You see what we're getting at? It's like people are always wanting to retire so that they can write that great American novel. And they could have been writing it at any time because they weren't doing so many other things that they couldn't have always been doing it. It's all about mindset. So don't push against your insurance, because all that does is hold you in a place of resistance, which you don't do when you're involved in music. So the question that we really heard you ask is, why do I allow myself to flow with one subject and I don't allow myself to flow as well with another subject? We say, that's a good question for you. If we were standing in any of your physical shoes, we would allow ourselves to flow in all subjects.
That's a revelation I've had recently. I'm my greatest product.
Yes, you are. You are the creator of you. You are the creator, but you're also the creation that the creator is creating. Isn't that nice to know? Yeah. So when you ask that question, so let's dig into it just a little bit. What is it about insurance? What are the redeeming characteristics of insurance?
Well, it's really just I feel it's a security blanket that I put out for myself. And
all right, so let's say that in different words. It's a path of least resistance for financial security. Is that such a bad thing?
No.
Because we didn't hear you say, I love music. Oh, Abraham, I love music. But mostly what I do all day is breathe air. And sometimes I eat food. Can you explain to me why I spend any of my time breathing air and eating food when my true passion is music? It's almost the same question, isn't it? You don't want to do one thing and only one thing. You can do lots of different things. Just don't decide that you're going to push against one thing. That would be like, in this city there are so many magnificent restaurants, and that would be like going to your favorite restaurant in this city, and the whole time you're eating feeling bad that you can't be at that one and that one and that one and that one. Instead, just enjoy this one. Yes?
Yes. Absolutely. Feels good.
And after a little while, you discover that no matter where you're eating, it can be ecstasy.
Absolutely.
Because you're out ahead of it, and you just can't show up any place that isn't wonderful. The universe just won't let you go in. The door will be blocked. The condemn sign on the window. All the seats will be full. Did we get to where you wanted to go?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Just keep following your passion.
That really is the answer, isn't it? Find it and follow it. Really good.
Thank you.
Really good.